All right, all right, all right. Greetings, family. I'm not going to be long today. I just um, wanted to share a little bit of today. As you can see, at the Culture Center in Coldwater, Mississippi. Um, and this is one of my favorite places to be, especially on a day like today. Um, just to be here to sit in a quiet space, a safe space, and reflect on everything that we are going through, that our ancestors and our elders went through as well. So I'm looking at the wall, and I'm looking at Muhammad Ali, Dr. Francis Cress Wilson, Kwame Ture, Ida B. Wells, Medgar Evers, and John Henry Clark, Amos Wilson, Malcolm X, and so many others that we have here on the walls of the Culture Center. And I wanted today to talk about one of our great ancestors. You know, today is July 4th, 2022. And I wanted to speak because I've been seeing some people share, but what is to the slave? What to the slave is the 4th of July, the speech given by our grand ancestor Frederick Douglass on July 5th, 1852. And so I have been thinking about this speech for the past week, and really been heavy on me to come and talk about it. And so of course, I had to do some research first to find out exactly what was said. And a lot of times when you YouTube, you'll find the recitation by Baba James Earl Jones. And the thing is that we're only hearing a portion of the speech that was given. Uh, but let me back up. Let me back up because I do want to acknowledge a couple things today, being um, July 4th. I want to acknowledge that on this day, our ancestor Emanuel Lewis entered the physical realm in 1844. I think that's what's on my notes. 1844, Emanuel Lewis entered the physical realm, and she was a sculptor. She was an amazing sculptor. She did not, once she reached adulthood, she was sent off to boarding school, and some great controversies happened around her while she was there, being the only person of African descent at the school. She had been accused of poisoning two of her roommates. So, if you can, you had time, just look her up and read about her. But she was also of Native descent as well. But she ended up leaving the country, and she is buried overseas. I think it's in London. And but she was a great sculptor. And also on this day in 1881, Tuskegee. Tuskegee was founded on July 4th, 1881. And that's an interesting story. If you follow me, you know we've been reading Booker T. Washington, The Making of a Pan Africanist by Dr. Tareen Wright. And we're learning a lot about this great ancestor. A lot of his story and his narrative has been, uh, I'll say, whitewashed in a negative manner. I encourage any of you who are students of history to check out that book, Booker T. Washington, The Making of a Pan African by Dr. Tyreen Wright, because in one chapter we did discuss how Tuskegee really came to be. Tuskegee, of course, Booker T. Washington is known for it, but there was a man, a elder ancestor named Lewis Adams. He was had been enslaved, and at this part of Alabama, there was a large concentration of Africans, formerly enslaved Africans, and there was a colonel who was going up for reelection. I'm not sure what the office was that he was seeking reelection, but he knew that he needed the black vote. And so he asked the Baba, the ancestor, Lewis Adams, what can I do to persuade you, to persuade Blacks, Africans to vote for me? And the great ancestor said that he would like a um, establishment of a Black school in the county. And so once this colonel was elected, he made good on his word, and that is how Tuskegee really came to be. And no one knows that. And so it's just a testament. And we were discussing it. We were like, wow, that's just a testament of how you negotiate before you get the vote. because I had seen someone say, "You don't negotiate before you that the election. You do that after." No, no. I mean, what's to say that somebody's gonna give you something if you don't make a negotiation during the vote? Hold on, I need to go in on my Facebook and change my settings. Y'all bear with me. I'm using StreamYard, and I always have to go back and change my settings so that I can see my comments. Um, so yeah. So that is um how Tuskegee came to be. So I was excited to learn that. And so now I can see my comments. Greetings, Baba Futrail. Greetings, Sister Mila. I'm glad that y'all could join me today. Like I said, I kind of debated on whether or not to do this, but I knew that the spirit of the ancestors would not allow me to not do it. And I would not have peace if I did not come and impart some information today. Uh, because what's that adage, when one teaches, two learns, and then when you learn something, you want to impart that wisdom onto others. So I just spoke about Emonia Lewis and Tuskegee University on this day, July 4th. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about, because um, so much is going on, and I just wanted to speak about my experience, and how I learned and how I tried to do better once I learned a contractual obligation would have been a better. And like I said, I'm constantly learning. We're constantly learning. So thank you for that, Cold War, and I will use it. I will add it to my vocabulary. Contractual obligation. You are right and exact correct. And so all I have to say is, on this day, um, so much is going on, but we have access to so much information now that when you learn better, you do better, so you can be better. And so I won't lie, most of us have celebrated this day out of ignorance, out of just because the larger society is doing it, we feel compelled to do it as well. And I'm going to speak to that a little bit later, because there's when you try to hold people accountable or responsible for actions, you get so much pushback, especially when it's something that you know we like to do. We love entertainment, we love to party, we love to have fun, and there's nothing wrong with that. But there's a time and a place for everything. So I want to go on and talk about Frederick Douglass and what to the slave is the 4th of July. So I was researching and studying, and I found that he was actually asked to speak on the 4th of July, but he declined and said, "No, I don't want to speak on the 4th of July. I'll come on the 5th." And so this was a speech that he imparted to the Ladies Anti-Slavery Society, I think in Rochester. I'm not, I don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure it was, because I was reading that he went back to his uh, roots to give the speech. And most of us are familiar with certain passages of it. Um, and as I was reading it, and as I was listening to the YouTube version recited by great Baba O.C. Davis, um, I just felt something. I just felt a connection. I just felt the power of the words, because when you really listen to what he said, and then O.C. Davis does a great job of um, giving us emotion with it as well. But most of us know, what is to the slaves of the 4th of July, and on. But there was a passage in there, because he starts off the first part of the speech. He starts off by giving a history of the 4th of July, and why it's here, and why it was needed, and that the United States is 76 years young. So a country of youth, there is hope. There is hope that maybe this country can get on the right track, since it's so young, since it's and then he speaks to the founding fathers and their uh, drive, their deliberateness of creating a country. Yeah, excuse me. But yeah, he speaks to that as well. So there was a part that I wanted to read right in the meat of what he addresses, and he tells them that I'm going to address slavery. I'm going to address that today and tell you what it means to me. But in this part of the speech, he's asking, why do you want me to speak? What do you want me to say? What else can be said? And so I'm going to read, and it's probably going to be rather lengthy because it's a powerful part of one of the most powerful parts of his speech to me. He goes on to he says, but I hear some of my audience say, is it just in this circumstance that you and your brother abolitionists failed to make a favorable impression on the public mind? Would you argue more and denounce less? Would you persuade more and rebuke less? Your cause would be much more likely to succeed. But I submit, where all is plain, there is nothing to be argued. What point in the anti slavery creed would you have me argue? On what branch of the subject do the people of this country need light? Must I undertake to prove that the slave is a man? That point is already conceded. Nobody doubts it. The slaveholders themselves acknowledge it in the enactment of laws for their government. They acknowledge it when they punish disobedience on the part of the slave. There are 72 crimes in the state of Virginia which, if committed by a black man, no matter how ignorant he may be, subject him to the punishment of death, while only two of the same crimes will subject a white man to the like punishment. What is this but the acknowledgement that the slave is a moral, intellectual, and responsible being? The manhood of the slave is conceded. It is admitted in the fact that the Southern statute books are covered with enactments forbidding, under severe fines and penalties, the teaching of a slave to read or to write. When you can point to any such laws in reference to the beast of the field, then I may consent to argue the manhood of the slave. When the dogs in your streets, when the fowls of the air, when the cattle on your hills, when the fish in the sea, and the reptiles that crawl shall be able to distinguish the slave from a brute, then I will argue that the slave is a man. For the present, it is enough to affirm the equal manhood of the Negro race. Is it not astonishing that while we are plowing, planting, and reaping, using all kinds of mechanical tools, erecting houses, constructing bridges, building ships, working in metals of brass, iron, copper, silver, and gold, that while we are reading, writing, and ciphering, acting as clerks, merchants, and secretaries, having among us lawyers, doctors, ministers, poets, authors, editors, orators, and teachers, that while we were engaged in all manner of enterprises common to other men, digging gold in California, capturing the whale in the Pacific, feeding sheep and cattle on the hillside, living, moving, acting, thinking, planning, living in families as husbands, wives, and children, and above all, confessing and worshiping the Christian's God and looking hopefully for life and immortality beyond the grave, we were called upon to prove that we are men. Would you have me to argue that man is entitled to liberty, that he is the rightful owner of his own body? You have already declared it. Must I argue the wrongfulness of slavery? Is that a question for Republicans? Is it to be settled by the rules of logic and argumentation as a matter beset with great difficulty, involving a doubtful application of the principle of justice, hard to be understood? How should I look today in the presence of Americans, dividing and subdividing the discourse to show that men have a natural right to freedom, speaking of it relatively and positively, negatively and affirmatively? To do so would to make myself ridiculous and to offer an insult to your understanding. There is not a man beneath the canopy of heaven that does not know that slavery is wrong for him. What? Am I to argue that it is wrong to make men brutes, to rob them of their liberty, to work them without wages, to keep them ignorant of their relations to their fellow men, to beat them with sticks, to flay their flesh with the lash, to load their limbs with irons, to hunt them with dogs, to sell them at auction, to sunder their families, to knock out their teeth, to burn their flesh, to starve them into obedience and submission to their masters. Must I argue that a system thus marked with blood and stained with pollution is wrong? No, I will not. I have better employment for my time and strength than arguments would imply. What then remains to be argued? Is it that slavery is not divine, that God did not establish it, that our doctors of divinity are mistaken? There is blasphemy in the thought. That which is inhuman cannot be divine. Who can reason on such a proposition that they that can may, I cannot. There is time for that time for argument is past. At a time like this, scorching irony, not convincing argument is needed. Oh, had I the ability and could reach the nation's ear, I would today pour out a fiery stream of biting ridicule, blasting reproach, withering sarcasm, and stern rebuke. For it is not light that is needed, but fire. It is not the gentle shower, but thunder. We need the storm, the whirlwind, the earthquake. The feeling of the nation must be quickened. The conscience of the nation must be roused. The propriety of the nation must be startled. The hypocrisy of the nation must be exposed. Its crimes against God and man must be proclaimed and denounced. What to the American slave is your 4th of July? I answer, a day that reveals to him more than all other days in the year the gross injustice and cruelty to which he is the constant victim. To him, your celebration is a sham. Your boasted liberty and unholy license, your national greatness, swelling vanity, your sounds of rejoicing are empty and heartless. Your denunciation of tyrants, brass running impudence, your shouts of liberty and equality, hollow mockery, your prayers and hymns, your sermons and thanksgiving, with all your religious parade and solemnity, are to him mere bombast, fraud, deception, empathy, and hypocrisy, a thin veil to cover up crimes which should disgrace a nation of savages. There is not a nation on the earth guilty of practices more shocking and bloody than are the people of the United States at this very hour. And so that was the part that I wanted to read because it just spoke to me. And it spoke to me because I wanted us to look at that and to look where we are right now as a people in this country, right? And to think about what we need to do to change the future because he goes on when OC Davis reads it. When you, I'm gonna drop those links to the YouTube reading by OC Davis in the chat. The first part is like 25 minutes long. The second part is 18 minutes long. So it's a lengthy speech, and he goes on to talk about how the laws, how the Constitution, how everything in this country promotes the institution of slavery, and we think that we are free. But when you look at those words, when you read the words and you hear the passion in them, and you look out at what we're dealing with today, it's redefined and recreated as it always is, right? And so that's why I wanted to share that part because the same thing is happening today. And what are we going to do? How are we going to respond? Brother Patrick always says, the Dr. John Henry Clark says, we have not responded to anything. We have reacted, but we have not responded um, to be effective, right? And so um, I just wanted to share those words, man. I want us to think about what it is that we're doing and how we're doing it. Um, like I said, some people will come on and say, well, it's a day off. Okay, it's a day off. Rest. And as Sister Mila said this morning, it's a day off. Do something for yourself. Get in that gym, drink your water, go for a walk, meditate, read a book. In fact, I have some recommendations that you should read uh, just to kind of validate what it is that I have said. I notice people always promote these books during the holiday season, but I want to promote them now by Baba Barashango, African People in European Holidays, a Mental Genocide. There are two books, right? And so I recommend these books because we need to understand everything when it comes to European holidays and how we celebrate them. Now, I'm not condemning anyone because I had to come to a place of knowledge myself because, hey, I used to buy the 4th of July outfits. I used to buy the Christmas. I used to do it all. But once I knew better, I started doing better. And that is what I want for us as a collective. I want us to do better as a collective, right? We cannot continue to finance our own oppression. We cannot continue to protest when there's an injustice. And I reminded myself that there was a video I wanted to share with you all to kind of because I shared it yesterday here at the center, and I think I shared it last year that kind of compares Baba Frederick Douglass's speech to what is going on now. And there's a video that I'm going to share with you all. Hold on. I'm trying to get like Brother Carl when it comes to the YouTube um and sharing videos. Here it is. Okay. No, that's not one. Hold on. Here it is. Okay.
What to my people is the 4th of July? My people who are failed every day by every country, sleepless in the long night, terrorized by fire, we who have cried salt baths for our kin. Look at all we have borne for you: arms, armistice, the sweetest fruits, flesh of children, hidden away from the ugly summer of their own blood. We are on the front lines. Help me, tell me, what do we tell the children of your 4th of July? What is death to a daughter? What is river to a sea? Where is the country where my people are safe? Ancestors, set the table, send dream mares in high supply, too heavy, too spent, too hot to cook. No promise beyond the sparkly, simple bombs. Keep your holiday, your hunger, the blood in your teeth. Police parading down streets, proud descendants of the slave patrol, theater of denial, a propaganda pageant, and we are on the front lines. All summer my uncle can't sleep, and he was born free, and he ain't never been. We deserve a break. We deserve to laugh, talk shit, and scream. Every day I'm waiting for rain. Some indication that this land I'm set to die on will grow good enough to deserve me. Where is it, this country that deserves us? What do we name it? What is its 4th of July? How do I tell my children there is blue sky up there? Life threw a break through my window of opportunity. How dare I tell my children there is free? This day should be quiet. Every head lowered into the pages of history. It was illegal for us to read, and then we read the laws. The laws were illegal. Turned horses into squad cars, hounds into warrants. What to us is your 4th of July? Halos and cakes of fire, a middle finger, an ugly foil, a rain, a joke where we are the punchline. A lie. Until you make it otherwise.
All right. So I just wanted to share that video with you all to kind of give us a perspective on in comparing the speech of Frederick Douglass in 1852 to today. Uh, Actually, it would be what 1852 to today. How many years is that? And what is the saying? The more things change, the more things stay the same. 170 years. 170 years, y'all. And we're still in the same space. But in a different we're still in the same play, but a different act, right? A different scene, all that. And so I wanted to share that video, and I wanted to share today because it's something to think about. When you start talking and really uh, throwing those rocks and those hit dogs start to holler, well, you can't tell me what to celebrate. Well, it's a day off and this. Well, somebody's telling you to celebrate it. So why can't I tell you not to? Why can't I tell you the history and where we were during the 4th of July, where our ancestors were? Why can't I do that? If they can tell you to go out here and buy this red, white, and blue, to buy pig and swine and all this other garbage to put on the grill and like Sister Miller said, eat yourself to sleep till you sleepy. Why can't I tell you not to? If they can tell you that you need to, eat this and buy this and why can't I tell you not to? So somebody's telling you something. Somebody's telling you to do it. Why can't I tell you not to? I'm not telling you how to spend your money. I'm just trying to get us to think about what we're doing with it. I'm sitting here at Restoration, New Direction Culture Center. I'm sitting here. This is the house of the Black Liberation Movement, and I'm sitting here in the house of the Ashe Academy. So in 2 weeks, we'll be having our summer camp. We'll be having our summer camp for $25. Your child can come and learn. We're going to have Sister Mila here. We're going to talk about health and wellness. We're going to be doing some meditation, some yoga. We're going to have Sister Angela here, who's going to be showing us some basic sewing skills. We're going to have sewing machines out. We're going to be teaching our children how to sew, a basic necessity of life. We got to have food, clothes, and shelter, right? We have our container garden in the back where our scholars planted seeds. We have cucumbers, we have tomatoes, we have bell peppers, we have some flowers out there, we have some basil, have some sunflower in the front. So we're gonna be teaching our children how to survive. We're gonna be teaching some of the basic necessities of life. We're gonna have Sister Giovanna Love here. She's gonna teach us about the chakras and how to unblock them and how to center yourself and be the best that you can be, right? With so much going on in the world, sometimes we need to understand how our body is working, our body, everything is in tune, right? Mind, body, spirit, how all those things work together. We're going to be learning, doing some artwork. We're going to be talking about community with Sister Leslie Taylor Grover as well. We're gonna be preparing some food. We're gonna be eating food that is grown locally from the black farmers in the area. So that is going to be the week of July 19th through the 22nd. Um, so if you know any children in the Coldwater area, please let the parents know that we're going to be hosting a summer camp because we're equipping our children to deal with this world, So when they hear what to the slave is the 4th of July, they can be like, oh, yeah, we built our own world, right? We built our own world. We defined our own reality and created it. And so I'm excited about that. But like I said, this is where we host those classes. This is where we teach us. This is where we teach our children. You see behind me, usually I'm faced the other way. But today I wanted to sit in front of our library. These are books. I'm a librarian, that's what my skill set is. But these books are books that I have handpicked. All these books, there are hundreds of books on this shelf, but I made sure that these books are safe for us, for our babies. So when they open the book, they'll see people that look like them. We have a section on natural hair care. We have a section on growing food. We have an HBCU section. We have a lot of biographies about our people, about our heroes, about our ancestors. So this is a safe space, period. Safe books. Your children can come in here and they can feel like home. We have created a family here at Restoration. So saying all that to say that if you had children, if you are interested in the summer camp, this will be the place that they need to be the week of the 19th. Thank you, Sister Mila, for putting up those dates for me the 19th through the 22nd. It's going to be a beautiful experience. I'm excited. I can't wait because I always learn something and then I need some time for Sister Mila to come help me unwind with the meditation and yoga and the health and wellness aspect of it because our children, they have no fear and they don't have the prejudices in the nose snobbing that we do. They don't come out picky eaters. We make them picky eaters. So we're going to be talking about what it is to do, to have a healthy mind, body, and spirit. So we start with our babies. Frederick Douglass also said it's easier to teach men than to repair broken. What is broken men is easier to train up children than to repair broken men. And so, we need to start with our babies. So I'm excited about that. I will be um, posting the flyer for um, what we're gonna be doing and some of the activities. And then Friday it's gonna be awesome. We're gonna have a show and tell on Friday. So the scholars will be showing off everything that they've grown, what they've made, and all that. So I'm excited about everything. So I want to go to the comments, and I see Brother Kwame asks, how much is the camp? The camp is $25. Um we might do some parts virtual. I'll let you know because I know Sister Leslie is going to be virtual. And the beauty of this camp of being $25. And this is going to provide snacks, lunch, a healthy lunch, and all the supplies that they'll need. Sister Leslie is going to be providing all the supplies that they'll need for the art project. So I'm excited about that. And then we have the mats here, so they don't have to worry about bringing a yoga mat. We have everything here that they'll need. So it's $25 for 4 days of sewing, uh, art activities, meditation, yoga, food, chakras, and then I think I'm trying to get Brother Akil on board to do something with all this math as well. And so I'm excited about that. Hey, Jesse. Thank you so much. Jesse, it's great to hear the encouragement and hear that somebody is feeling what we do here. Uh, and I'm glad that you do talk to your children. I haven't met your children yet, but I'm looking forward to that day. And just and I'll get in touch with you because there's some things that I would like to send you as well, Jesse. Yes, Sister Mila. Our children need to be involved. I love it. I love what I do. I love working with our babies, so I'm excited. Brother Kwame, thank you. Thank you for sponsoring. Because I do think sometimes we get caught up and we really don't realize that this is an investment. This is an investment of in our children. I was talking to Sister Kyra right before, and she was telling me that she was, going to ask some of her family members to bring their children. She's like, $25, that's nothing. We need to start thinking as these things as an investment in our children. We have to, because they're not going to get in the school system. We have to provide it. See, I'm not mad about CRT. I'm not mad about anything because why wouldn't they? As Sister Asada, who's back here in our collection, said schools are a reflection of society. Why would you think that they will give you what you need to create your own reality when they can dictate and control it for you? So, we had to start really taking heed to the words of our ancestors and our elders because they provided so much information and direction and guidance to us. We just had to slow down and start listening. Thank you, Sister Miller. Miss Sister Miller, you be on it. And I'm so thankful and grateful for you. She is the Ministress of Health and Wellness of the Black Liberation Movement. And y'all, when I tell y'all, this sister has motivated me to get my health and wellness together. If y'all haven't, y'all need to go and subscribe to her YouTube channel. So, Sister Mila, drop the link to your YouTube channel in the chat so that we can get some more subscribers. Because when I tell y'all she is doing it, she is doing it. We just came off June with the plank challenge. And at the end of June, she had us doing 5 minute planks. Now I can only hold for a little bit over 4 minutes, but I uh, I am so proud of my 4 minute and 6 second plank hold. So, Sister Mila, that's on you, and I'm so thankful for you. I'm thankful that our paths cross. So Cold War, we have to prepare them indefinitely, but we can't simply lead the battle to them. We are more than able. We have solutions, y'all. Self-determination. Kuji Chagalia, self-determination is a potential first option. And it is worth a try, but we have. Exactly. And Cold War, I say that I have been saying that often because, I'm here in Mississippi and around me there are a few black school districts. Now, when I say black, I mean the administration is black, the teachers are black, and the students are black. Yet they're failing. They're failing. And my question was, why are they failing? This is the perfect setting for us to excel. You have black administrators, teachers, and students. But then I realized it's because we don't believe in ourselves. We don't have that coochie chagalia. We don't have that self determination that we can do this. We can do it. We don't need somebody to come save us. We don't need a white savior. We don't need. We have everything we need in us, and so that is one of the things that we teach at Ashe. So it's not just academics. It's not just about our history. It's about believing in yourself. It's about being able to interact with your brother and your sister. It's about being respectful to the elders. It's about the ecosystem, the black family ecosystem as well. Village mentality, the community mentality, all that. We got to get back to what we already know, which is our motto: on learning to remember, teaching to nation build. Because a lot of times you feel it in you, it's right, and but society has our attention so much that we sometimes forget where we come from. But there, I'm here. I'm back to remind you because I remind myself and my children all the time. And also because, right, exactly, exactly. And that's the thing too. It's like, um, but even in that, when they talk about the behavior problems that they have at these schools, that just blows my mind because if you got black administrators, black teachers, and black students, you shouldn't even be. You should be. I mean, you always gonna have some type of behavior problems, but you should still have a community mindset where you get the parents involved and not when I say involved, I mean not looking at the standards of what other people do. So we know that our people have to work. Parents have to work 2 and 3 jobs. Mothers, single mothers, they're single mothers. They may not be in the home as much. So you have to find creative ways to become a community, even in these schools. And when you teaching a non-black curriculum, shit, we went when I was at school. It was the same thing, but we still had a tight community mindset where you behave, and then with and the teachers and the educators lived in the community where your school was. So you still had a sense of who you were. And when I was going to school, I'll say it, I was still in a segregated town. White people lived on one side, black people lived on the other side. So we still had that sense of Africanness, that African community mindset. And it was a community, it was a community I won't say project, but it was, we learned as a community because I heard Brother Q say, communities are schools are an extension of the community. And your community is an extension of your school. So it's all interrelated. But now we don't even have communities anymore. So that's part of it. So yeah, I do know that the curriculum is not black centered, not African centered, but we still had some sort of community. We knew who we were. We weren't as assimilated as we are now. A lot of people say segregation, but I like to say assimilation because when you assimilate, you don't bring anything with you. And we didn't take anything with us. We left our blackness at the door, right? And that's why we had to code switch, and that's why we had a double consciousness because we always had to leave our blackness at the door. You know, they don't ever have to leave anything. They can bring who they are with them, but we always have to check our black at the door. So we had to create spaces where we don't do that. And in this culture center, restoration, new direction culture center is one of those spaces. You don't have to leave your blackness at the door. In fact, you ain't got to worry about nothing when you come in here. Your children don't have to worry about anything. So definitely a safe space. So I appreciate all the love, sponsoring children, and that would be great because that's something that I can announce as well. A lot of people always are kind of leery about the cost, so I can promote it that we have a certain number of spots available for children in the community, and so that will probably draw some people because we need to grow. We need our shade to grow. We need the center to grow. We need our because we need to continue to build our own institutions. Because a lot of times we'll talk about the problems, we know what's wrong, but we know we have these issues, and we have so many things that we need to deal with. But where will we deal with them at? We had to have our own spaces. I remember one time I was quoted as saying, "We will heal when we build." Because if we don't have safe spaces, we'll continue. It's like going to the doctor, and he diagnoses you with something. And he says, "Well, you need to, stay here and do this and do that." But you say, "No, I'm going out. I'm going out to party." And you go out and you continue to do all the things that made you sick in the first place. How are you gonna get well? It's kind of like when the COVID thing was going around, right? When you tested positive for COVID, you had to quarantine so that you could not pass it on or keep it or whatever. So it's kind of like the word is separate. A lot of people say we need to separate. We do. We need to build our own spaces so that we can get well and so that we can function in this world and so that we can define and create our own reality. So I just wanted to share that this 4th of July, um, and and talk a little bit about Frederick Douglass, his speech, how we can learn from it, how we can analyze where we are today according to his speech and according to the video that I shared, and how we can plan to move forward. And so we have to build, we have to grow, we have to be the present to our children. You know, um, like I said earlier, when one teaches, two learn. So I'm constantly learning, and many times when I learn, I get angry, and I don't want our children are angry in some sense of it, but we need to be teaching more a broader range of our children. We're not going to homeschool our way out of it. Homeschooling is great, but when you have a family of maybe three homeschool, and then you have a whole institution of our children, hundreds going out to the public school system, that's kind of it's going to be hard to compete with that and create a broader mindset of what's needed. So, anyway, said all that, and I'm glad that you all tuned in and just spread the word about our summer camp, July 19th through the 22nd, from 10 to 2, Tuesdays and Thursdays. Tuesday through Friday, I'm sorry. I'm thinking about our other programs. And if you are in the Coldwater area, we meet here on Sundays from 11 to 1. And then I'm here throughout the week just because it is a beautiful space and I love being in here. I love the peace that's here in the center. So, y'all have a great rest of the day. And like Sister Mila said, do something for yourself today that doesn't cost money. Go for a walk, drink some water, uh, cook a great meal, all that. Cold War, we are a traumatized people, which has to deal with, not just consider we have it. Yes, I agree. I agree. And like I said, we had to deal with that in our own spaces and by our own standards. Dr. Amos Wilson speaks on it all the time about how we had to define for ourselves because we can't solve our problems uh, with solutions created by the people who caused the problem. We had to create our own standards and guidelines and morals and values, like we used to have before we assimilated. So we had to get back to that, be back to our African mind. Um, so thank you all again for tuning in, and y'all have a great day. And I'm gonna say it again: get out there and go for a walk, drink some water, eat some fruit and vegetables. One thing that I realized when I stopped eating meat was I wasn't as sluggish. I didn't get the itis as much as I did when I was eating all that crap because your food is supposed to be life giving. It's not supposed to make you tired and sluggish and want to go to sleep and all that. It's supposed to give you energy and life. And so think about that today as you eat, eat some good food. I bought for the first time in a long time a yellow meat watermelon from the farmer's market from the Richardson Farms. I went up there for some bell peppers and she didn't have any, so I ended up getting a watermelon and some green tomatoes. So I'll probably fry some green tomatoes and eat watermelon. That'll be my meal for the day. But anyway, y'all have a great rest of the day and a great week. And we'll see y'all again at the end of the month because we're going to be talking about Fannie Jackson Coppin of Coppin State University and Cheney University. So y'all have a good one. Thank you.